Hello folks, hope you're all doing well. We are down here in the greenhouse. I had planned on being at the allotment yesterday and doing a bit of a thing with the garlic and the onions going out. And let me just show you here. Let me show you how they're getting on. Look, they are coming on a treat. And the worry is, if I can show you there, they don't all fall out the bottom. You can see the roots starting to poke out there on the bottom of the onions, and the garlic is going to be much the same. So I just need to catch that before it gets any worse, or they become pot bound, root bound, whatever you want to call it, where the roots start to spiral around inside the little trays there, and it all becomes a bit messy and claggy and wedged. It's not the end of the world. They'll still go out, they'll still get planted, but again, it's not best practice. That's what I wanted to avoid this year. So hopefully sometime in the next week we'll get them out back up the plot. But the reason I wasn't there, it's the frost. It has been, I could do it, since Friday, it has been frozen solid round here. We had a really heavy frost on Friday. Everything has been frosty and frozen since. So in terms of digging the ground and getting things in, not ideal conditions. Hopefully the next day or two we'll get that sorted, because into the weekend it's supposed to get even worse. I think it's Saturday, overnight Saturday or overnight Friday, one of the two, we're down to like -5. So we've been at like -1, -2 so far, and say everything frosted and frozen over. -5 at the weekend, which is even worse for things. But we'll see how we're getting. But anyway, I thought we'd come down here to the greenhouse and potter about a bit. I've got some seeds that I want to sow, so we'll go through that. But while we're doing that, we'll have a bit of a chat about a few things. And one of the main things I want to have a chat about today is compost, because I think it was it last weekend when I was planning for the garlic and the onions, some of the beds need topping up a little bit. So I went down to the garden centre, get some compost. Honestly, the price of it, man, these days. And I'm not just talking about the, well, I'll come to it. Tell you what, we'll chat about that when we're doing the seeds. But anyway, it set me off on a thing where I want to get better at making my own compost, because compost is so expensive. And I say, well, we'll chat about that in a bit. But two things I want to draw your attention to. First up is a book. Here we are, Composting Masterclass by Tony O'Neill. So some of you might know Tony's got a massive YouTube channel, Simplified Gardening. And by the way, I should add, I paid for this book with my cold hard cash. I've not been sent it. Tony's not asked me to do this. And I'm going to talk about hot bin next. I've not been paid anything. They're not giving me anything. This is all just my opinion. This is an excellent book for learning how to compost. It's brilliant. I'll put a link down below in the description. It's coming up to Christmas. What a great Christmas present. The next thing I want to talk about is hot bin. So me, traditionally, I've got a couple of the plastic Daleks in a bit of a pallet contraption where I've been trying to make compost, and it takes ages. For me, it does. Anyway, I'm not very good at it. I'm reading a book, trying to get better. I'm thinking about getting a hot bin. So essentially, it's an insulated compost bin, but it makes compost so much quicker than a regular compost bin. So I'm thinking it's got to be a good thing. At the minute, there's 20% off at the minute. It ends tonight. The offer ends tonight on Cyber Monday, I think we call it today. You know, it's part of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday thing. 20% off ends tonight, so I might commit and get something before tonight's out. But we'll see how that goes. I'm planning on it. They're a little bit expensive to begin with, but I can't help but think that compost is so expensive these days that investment will pay for itself within maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2. I reckon that cost to be written off and making my own compost at a rate of knots. Anyway, let me switch around. We'll get set up over here. We'll do some seed sowing. We'll have a little bit more of a chat about compost and what spurred on my thoughts around and about this. So we're back down here at the other end of the greenhouse, and unfortunately, where I've got the camera, you're probably missing the top half of my head and a little bit of this, but it's about the best I can squeeze it in the space I've got in the greenhouse. So you'll have to make do with missing the top of my head. It's not as if there's much up there that you're missing out on anyway. But we're down here. We've got some seeds to sow. Let's have a look what we're going to sow. Durham early spring cabbage. These should have been sown at least last month, if not the month before. Miles behind, bit of a gamble, not to worry, bit of a compost, some seeds. I'm not exactly going to miss out. Next thing, something new. We've got, I should have worn my glasses. I've got new glasses and I should have worn them, but we've got Wawa Kai Choi. I'm not even sure what that is. Somebody recommended it. I bought it. I'm going to grow it. I'm going to give it a try. And we've got some Arctic King lettuce. Lettuce grows okay during the winter. It has to be specific varieties. Arctic King, a nice hardy one. And it'll certainly be tested with some of the temperatures we've got forecast around here. Dead simple. All these three things are going to be done the same. We've got these little quarter size trays here that we use. And the reason I'm using these is I might take them in the house to try and get them to germinate. Normally, I would just leave them in the greenhouse, but I mentioned we're down at -5 this weekend. That's not going to be great for germination, is it? And these also fit on top of the Garland Super 7 propagators, which I am a massive fan of the Garland Super 7 propagator. Heated propagator, I should add. And I'll put a link to that down below in the description. Again, it's coming up to Christmas. Who wouldn't love to get one of those for Christmas? But we'll see. But the only thing I've got here is some, well, rather expensive compost bought from the shop, together with some bits of perlite. There's not a lot of perlite in it. There's only a little bit because I ran out. But we'll not worry. It's got enough in it that's going to help me to manage it through this. So what I'm doing first is the Arctic King lettuce. And I don't know why I'm faffing on trying to open that nice and neatly and make it difficult when I can just tear the bottom of the seed packet off. Because there's another packet inside, as always. And whenever I'm doing this, and I have learned this through experience, is when I'm in this area here, in this sort of like it's a something tidy, I don't know what you call it, this green tray that you see here. I got it from the garden centre. It's got a compost in here, my trays, and I need to be careful that when I'm sprinkling the seeds in, that I don't sprinkle them into the compost, the big compost pile here that I'm using inside the seed trays. And let me move the seed tray up there because you might be able to see it. Can you see it better? Let me see, I don't know. Up there you go. Let's put it up there and hopefully you can see it. That I don't get the seeds in the big pile of compost, because the seeds will just grow in the compost, and that's not ideal when they're being used for other things. So I stuck them in there. Let me show you that nice and close. I don't know, it was a pinch of seeds, which is enough. That's enough for me at the moment to get some winter lettuce on the go. A bit of compost on the top, dampen it down with this little square thing here, which is marvellous. This again, another one of these things, you know, you can pick up for Christmas. Cheapest chips on Amazon, brilliant, just the job for that. I'll pop a link down below. Right, lettuce done. While I'm sorting out this down here and getting the next seeds up, compost. So I mentioned I was at the garden centre and I was getting some compost to do the garlic and onions, because there's just 3 little wooden pallet collar raised beds need topping up. So I bought 3 bags of compost, and it's nearly always an offer. No matter where you go, B&M, garden centres, whatever it is, buy 3 bags for 12 quid or whatever. And I went along, and the price of it, honestly, I can't. I think I was in so much shock that I can't even remember exactly how much the price was off the top of my head. I wish I could tell you, but it was a price that made me go, you sort of look at something and you think how expensive it is. And it was a bit pricey, and I was a bit taken aback by it. And you know what I was taken aback more by? Is a thing called shrinkflation. So the bag of compost I've got down here, this was much earlier in the year that I bought this one. We've got Miracle Grow. It's a bit of a premium compost. It's just what they had. Oh, crikey, I'm knocking a tray over now as well. Here we go. Look, best made plans and all that. Anyway, compost. Bit of a premium band. So you do pay a little bit more for it, and it's all right, and it wasn't too bad, and it's a decent sized bag. When I was at the garden centre, all the bags, not only were they more expensive, but they were smaller. And that's a concept called shrinkflation. And that's to do with inflation, and where places don't want to put their prices up, so you go, oh, that's a bit expensive, isn't it, for the size of that? They put the shrink the size, so the price stays the same, but the actual product itself gets smaller. So all the bags of compost at the garden, I was looking at them and I was going to pick them up and they're really small bags for the price. Why are they so small? And I was looking at like 30 litre bags, and normally I get like a 50 litre bag, and it was such a noticeable difference when I picked it up. And I eventually found some that was more expensive than I wanted, but I thought, you know what, I'll actually, me and the wife were talking about shrinkflation the other day, because She'd very kindly been to a cafe and got us some lovely cakes to have. when I got the cakes and I looked them out, just a quick thing there. Look, that is the Wawa car choy going in there. Exactly the same technique as the lettuce, and I'll quickly move on to the cabbage as well. And it's like, you got the cakes, and I mean, you know, I could probably do with eating a bit less cake. Let's be honest, couldn't we all do with eating a bit less cake at times? But it was very, very nice cake. It was lovely, but it was just a bit small, and it was noticeably smaller. That, you know, when you get it and you're like, oh, where's the rest of it? And again, the price hasn't gone up, and it costs the same, but it's got a lot smaller, and that's something I'm definitely going to be sort of keeping an eye on. I think coming into next year, when I'm buying a lot of my sort of what I'd call, you know, consumables, the seeds, the feed, the perlite, anything like that, anything that we're using like that, just to see if it's shrinking altogether, or if we're still getting value for money. But that's what spurred me on to really start looking into the making my own compost side of things and getting stuff like that on the go. And hot bin, I think hot bin is going to be the solution for me, because I'm going to get a bit impatient waiting for it, and I like the technology behind it and gadgets and gizmos and stuff and things that do things. I like the idea of it, the concept of it. And you know, let's remember Steve had a hot bin and he was getting on really great with it, and JB's got it now. So JB's got the hot bin, and he's done a video on having the hot bin, and I'll pop a link down below to the hot bin video that JB's done. Go and see what he's got, go and see how he's getting on with it. Yes, I can hear you saying it again, they're a bit expensive, but I think it is a very worthwhile investment. But we'll see how we get on. Anyway, let me spin you around and we'll finish off complaining about compost. Right, and here is the finished article. We have our 3 little seed trays. I've popped lids on them and I've popped labels on them, and I only just remembered to pop the labels on them, and I'm very, very lucky that I've got a mix of colours here. So I knew one of the green ones, what there was in the black ones, and then the last green one. And I hear you say, but Mark, why do you have different coloured ones? It's because what was on special offer at the time at the garden centre. It was just sheer luck that I remembered which colour had which seeds in it today. Anyway, I think I'm about done for today. That's enough ranting about the cost of compost. Have you seen the cost of compost going up, especially recently? You know, obviously the start of the year, this cost of living crisis, all that sort of stuff, prices of compost and stuff's just been going up. But I think the shrinkflation thing, the packs getting smaller for the amount that we're paying, really, really recently made that stand out to me. We've seen it with chocolate bars and all sorts of stuff over the years. Now it appears to be the time of compost. But have you seen that? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts about making your own compost, hot bins, all that sort of stuff. Are you sowing seeds at this time of year? I know it's November. I know it's cold. It's freezing. I mean, especially this weekend, -5. But we've got stuff on the go. They've been watered with the trusty Iron Brew bottle of water there, so I'm sure they will all be fine. Anyway, please think about subscribing. It's absolutely free. Just click the little red button down below, and it doesn't cost anything, which is the best bit. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, folks, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.